10x your service design offering with Smaply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smaply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smaply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.
Thinking about joining our private design community? Now's the time. On November 1st, our annual membership goes up from €199 to €299. But here's the good news. Join before then, and you lock in the $199 price for life. That's lifetime access to all our courses, a personal coaching call, plus 24 office hour sessions with Gerry and the community every year. No increases, no surprises, just big value. Don't wait. Join us today. Link is in the description.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of This Is HCD. My name is Gerry Scullion and I'm a human-centered service design practitioner based in the beautiful city of Dublin, Ireland. Now, today on the show, I'm delighted to welcome Ali Fawkes from Humanly in London, and we're going to be talking about lots and lots of wonderful things. Now, I caught up with Ali at the SD and Gov conference where Ali was also speaking, and we really wanted to focus on a few different things. Now, this conversation with Ali is a powerful one, and we talk about her journey from fine art and special education into service design, and how that diverse background became her superpower in the design world. I love it. We also dive into honest reflections on feeling like an imposter when stepping into design for the first time, and how she learned to embrace the label designer on her own terms. And finally, we explore something deeply important but often overlooked: how to design safely. This is something that Rachel Deacon spoke about in her keynote at SD and Gov, but we echo that conversation in this conversation with Ali today as well. Now, Ali shares how Humanly has built a strong safeguarding and trauma-informed practices into their work, ensuring the safety of both the research participants and the practitioners when tackling sensitive social issues. It's a thoughtful, inspiring and grounded discussion that reminds us that great design isn't just about creativity. It's about care, it's about empathy, and ultimately it's about responsibility. If you like today's episode, please do like and subscribe and do all the usual things that I ask you to do in this podcast. Ali is fantastic. I know you're going to love Ali. Please do connect with her on LinkedIn if you like this episode. She's more than happy to share any of her insights. I know it's a good one. Let's jump straight in. All right, Ali. How's it going?
Good.
I've got to know you this week.
Yep.
We're here at SD and Gov. It's been one of the best design conferences I've been at in a very long time, mainly because it's focused on social impact, which is a great segue for you.
Yes.
So maybe tell us a little bit about your role, where you're at and what you do.
Yep, so I'm Ali. I'm Head of Social Innovation at Humanly, which is a small human-centered design studio for social impact.
With Jenni Parker.
With Jenni Parker. It's Jenni Parker's studio.
Yeah.
But I've been there since it started back in 2017. So yeah.
Brilliant. I remember when people used to say it's just a small agency, and it would almost feel like it was devaluing it, but I actually believe I'm a single person with a load of associates.
Yep.
And I actually believe that's a superpower.
Yes.
And speaking of superpowers, I want to talk to you about your background.
Yes.
Because, believe it or not, this is the third time I've tried to record this episode, which gives us a little bit of an edge because I've done 10 minutes of this episode before, and I know your background is what I would describe as highly interesting and really, really brilliant to see people crossing over into the world of service design. But maybe we'll let you tell your own story. Where and what did you study?
So initially I studied fine art painting. Well, I mean, actually I've studied everything. Costume construction, fashion, fine art painting. I was a bit of a university hopper. I could never find something that I that I stuck at. But yeah, eventually graduated with fine art painting.
Nice. Where did you do that? In Leicester?
No, that was University of Kent in the end.
Right, very nice.
After Kingston and Central School of Speech and Drama, I ended up at Kent. But then I went to the University of Cambridge to study to be a secondary school art teacher.
Right.
But I never actually taught in secondary schools. After I qualified, I went straight into working in special schools and teaching art to children aged 2 to 19 with special educational needs, disabilities. And then I studied for a master's in special and inclusive education.
Right.
Worked in special and inclusive education for a while, specialised in working with kids with very complex needs, communication challenges, and how sort of art can be used as a way for people who don't necessarily have verbal communication or any formal communication to communicate and express themselves.
Fantastic.
Then I worked with adults, ended up as Asperger Syndrome Project Officer at the University of Cambridge, and then got brought into a project that Jenni Parker was the designer on. It was a project to design a digital product for people with learning disabilities. Yeah. And she had been brought in as the designer, but said she wanted somebody with sort of expertise in working with that group of people, so that because it wasn't an area she'd worked in before, and I was brought in to provide that.
Oh,
we worked together for like a year, 18 months on that project. And
so there's two angles that I'm really interested in. One is your background and why I believe that's a superpower to bring those new dimensions to the design craft and profession. And the second thing is your own journey about moving from career to career, because I speak to a lot of people and they're like, I couldn't possibly move, I studied psychology. And I'm like, well, that's a perfect way to enter into human-centered design or service design. But going back to the first question, how have you found the entering into the world of design, like working alongside Jenni? And what was that kind of transition like?
So initially, Jenni would describe me as resistant.
Resistant. How so?
Well, it was totally new to me. So human-centered design, totally new to me. I thought I knew what I was doing. Like, I thought I knew how to do research.
Because you've been doing it for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while. I thought I knew how to do research. I thought I knew how to work with people with learning disabilities. I thought I knew this stuff. I'd been employed to do this stuff. And then through this project and through applying human-centered design and design research with this group, I learned that I've been wrong about a lot of stuff.
Right.
And a lot of ways that things are done, sort of historically or traditionally, that are seen as the way things are done, actually aren't the best way that they could be. And it's just sort of an area where human-centered design's never really kind of ventured, because it is challenging. But by me and Jenni brings the kind of design expertise and had all of those skills, and by being able to collaborate and put that knowledge together with kind of what I had and those skills, we were able to develop a way that meaningfully involved people who had never really been involved in any of these sort of processes before, and actually genuinely get to understand what people needed, wanted.
Nice. Challenge
some of these really long held beliefs around what people wanted, how people needed things to be done, which was amazing. And it was a huge eye-opener for me. And I also think it helps me up till now, because it's not like I've always been in human-centered design and came into it going, well, yes, I know this is fantastic. I came into it almost resistant and learnt how amazing it was by having my knowledge challenged. Which means that when I meet people who are going through it for the first time and are kind of experiencing that same thing, or are sort of sceptical about how can this possibly work,
just step into it.
I can sort of go, look, I understand how you feel, because I've been there.
I thought it was a bag of shite. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Just sit with it. Just see what happens. Trust the process. I understand that it's really...
I know they all look crazy with their glasses and stuff. But it's okay.
It's okay. Honestly, it works. Yeah. Honestly, we'll learn stuff that you've never learned through any other method. Like, honestly, you will get a better outcome. And I think being able to share that with people. It's
very powerful.
And say,
very powerful.
Oh, I was brought in as an expert, but learned I was totally wrong.
Yeah. Through
this process is helpful and can help reassure people.
You're basically saying, the Kool-Aid, you don't really have to drink the Kool-Aid, but just respect that it's there, and over time.
Just let it be there.
Just let it be there.
Yeah.
Now, I know coaching designers, and from especially training a lot of designers who may say that they're not designers.
Yep.
That transition period to eventually adopting the label of a designer, they're like, well, I couldn't possibly say that because I studied this and this and this.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Really hard, and I refused for a long time to call myself
and you still
a designer.
Don't.
I still don't.
That's fine.
I was, a social innovation consultant, and I had a social innovation. I will call myself a designer if I need to, but it's not, I think it took me a long time. I'm no longer uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. And how did you silence the imposter thing?
I think just over time, and also one of the things I learnt as I kind of got to, learn more about the process.
Yeah.
Through that, initial project and all those that have followed, I always refer to that initial project as being like my apprenticeship, because actually we were very fortunate.
Probably similar, yeah.
It was an incredibly lucky project in that we were we were able to go through the entire process properly, which is not that, common.
Was interesting.
Was really interesting, and I've lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay. Like the transition into the world and being calling yourself a designer, it's one of those stepping stones that some people step into straight away, and they're like, yeah, cool, I'm happy to adopt it, and then.
So what I learned through that was that actually I'd been applying some of these approaches in previous work, just not knowing it, not knowing what that was called, not knowing that I was iterating, prototyping, adapting.
Yeah.
But as I learned about the human-centered design process, I was able to go, oh, but that's what I did. Yeah. That's what I applied in that role.
Yeah.
That's how we developed this group or that group, or that's how this concept developed, was because I identified that there was a need. We thought, well, let's give it a go, try it out. Oh, this didn't work. We tried 3 different options. So I think I became more comfortable as I sort of learnt more about it, and learned that actually I had been doing it a while, just didn't know.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to be said for not applying a label to what you do and just saying actually the outcome, you're a social impact consultant, and that really works towards it. Now, in the SD and Gov conference, yourself and Jenni gave a workshop around both practitioner and research participant safety. I'm deeply interested in that, having suffered, still 10 years later, dealing with vicarious trauma from research projects. Are you okay to explore that topic a little bit in the background, if there's a personal arc to it?
So I think, there's very much a personal arc to it. I think for me, I was because of coming from a background where I had been a teacher and I'd also worked in advocacy. That's a background where the kind of safety and safeguarding is very, very top of the agenda.
Yeah.
And it's in everything you do. And when I came into human-centered design, I was quite surprised by some of the things that we were able to do in some way.
Can you give me an example?
So for me, home visits were like, what? We can go and do research in people's homes? They're okay with that? And, we've always Humanly practiced doing that in pairs and doing it very safely. But, I'm aware that's not always the case. And also, even then, for me, it was really quite surprising. Because, coming from my background, but I learned it was absolutely the best thing to do, and it was great. But what I've sort of over time tried to do is develop ways of bringing in some of the sort of resources that help to keep people safe, both the participants and the practitioners, without stifling what we do.
Right, can you give me more examples on this?
So it's about making sure that there are policies and like procedures in place so that if something happens, we know what to do. So for example, one of the examples we used in our training session was, if we're working on a project, every time we work on a project, what we do is we go through what are the potential risks, essentially. What could come up in this project? Could there be accidental or deliberate disclosure of abuse? Or could there be a disclosure that somebody is feeling hopeless or suicidal, potentially? And if that comes up, what are we going to do?
Yeah, what's the...
Because it's not, as a practitioner, there's nothing worse than being in a situation where something comes up and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
If beforehand we've identified all those risks and we've planned out what we're going to do in those situations, you're not having to think in the moment, and there's no stress on you, because you're going, okay, I know what I do in this situation. So for example, where we did identify that there was a reasonable possibility that people might be disclosing that they were feeling hopeless or suicidal, we had everyone had training around that and around suicide prevention. We wrote it into our safeguarding policy and practice.
And into consent as well, was it?
And it wasn't, we always put in consent when...
No, but like the documentation of, if you're feeling like these things and you identify them, we are duty bound to...
We always say that.
Okay.
So when it comes to consent, as far as I'm concerned, informed consent's only informed consent if people know the limits of the confidentiality.
Yeah.
And that is always going to mean that if someone tells us something that means that we believe that they or someone else is at serious risk of harm, we have to tell someone.
So in that scenario, say you're engaged by a government or an NGO, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Like, we need this piece of research done, we need some experimentation or prototyping. And the previous people that have been in haven't done informed consent. They haven't gone to the lengths of saying, well, if someone in research tells us that they're feeling suicidal, they don't have any policy in place. And then you go back to the client and you say, we just need to put all those safeguarding measures in place, and then they put you into the too hard basket, which is a very, very common scenario for people. I've been in that scenario as well, saying, listen, we need to look at consent, we need to look, and they're like, we just want a quick fix. It sounds like you're too much of a purist. Have you navigated that?
To be honest, we find that it reassures clients.
Yeah.
If we're the ones going,
lovely, yeah,
actually we need to explore what could happen. These are the risks we've identified. Can we check what are your policies on this?
Yeah.
We'll align what we do with your policies. We'll make sure we're all in agreement. We co-design the plan of what's going to happen in different circumstances. So in that situation where we identified there was a real risk of sort of people potentially feeling hopeless or suicidal, we even drafted an email that we would send to people that had signposting, that had links to support, and that was agreed by the client, it was agreed by everybody on the team, so we knew exactly what our steps would be should that happen.
Yeah.
And it just meant that it's not only safer for the participant because we know that they're going to get support, but it's safer for us because we know how we're going to respond in a circumstance. And we do that in every project. We go through, we identify what are the risks. Often if we're working with children, we make the plan of, what is it we're going to do? Well, what we do is we're going to align with the school safeguarding policy. We always read the school safeguarding policy.
Yeah, I love it.
We all have safeguarding training.
Yeah.
Oddly, it appears to be designed for like plumbers, because it's NSPCC training for people who go into other people's homes.
Right.
Like plumbers.
Yeah, okay, right.
Because that's the most similar kind of scenario we could find.
Wow.
Because actually we're not providing the people we're doing research with the service. We're not their social worker, their therapist. And there's no guidance around what are you meant to do, how to approach it, what are the, there's just nothing. We've had to kind of read everything we can, take what we know, what we feel, and develop all this ourselves.
Yeah.
So we kind of found that was the best training there was. what you do if you go into someone's house, you how to identify that things might be wrong, what you should do in those circumstances. But as somebody who's not there as a service provider to that person.
I understand. So you're working on a lot of stuff at the moment. If people want to follow what you're doing, I know Jenni Parker's been on the podcast before, a very popular podcast. If people want to follow you in your own journey and reach out to you and ask about your own journey, because there are people out there in the social innovation sector that will look at this and go, look, that's exactly what I want to get into. Are you okay if people reach out to you and ask questions? What's the best way for people to do that?
So on LinkedIn, I mean, my name's Ali Fawkes, and I'm just Ali, ALI_Fawkes, Fawkes, and I'm the same on all socials. That's my...
Yeah, I'll put a link to whatever we can find into the show notes. And as it goes out on YouTube as well, if you're watching it in the description, it's in there as well. You can connect with Ali. Ali is remarkable, a breath of fresh air. I love speaking to people who are, you know, not from a traditional design background and have moved into this world. You add so much to the discipline of design, so great. And if you see Ali or Jenni at any conferences over the next couple of months, make sure you go up and say hello to them. They're wonderful people as well.
I'm always very happy to talk.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.